Granting the right permissions for the right people is key to using Tempo Timesheets effectively in your company. In this video, I'll cover these 3 types of permissions that Tempo Timesheets uses, and which ones you need to grant to which people. It's best practice to grant permissions soon after installing Tempo Timesheets to give the employees in your company a great experience. And I'm going to grant permissions for Tempo Timesheets users in my company called Lunar Industries, so you can come along for the ride and see how it's done. I'll start with Jira Global permissions, which are high-level permissions that are applied to an entire Jira site. You'll need to have Jira administrator permissions to grant these permissions to other people. When I installed Tempo Timesheets, these 3 administrator permissions were added here. By default, Jira administrators are in a group that have these 3 permissions. This means that I could do all of these admin tasks myself, but I've got other things to do, like manage our Lunar Energy Jira site. So I made a specific Jira group for each of these permissions, and this lets me choose exactly who should have these powers bestowed upon them. Having specific groups is useful for Lunar Industries, which is pretty large. But if you're in a smaller company, you could create just one Jira group that includes all employees who should have all 3 Tempo administrator permissions, whatever works for you. The main permission is for the Tempo administrator. Tempo admins can do things like set up workload and holiday schemes, reporting periods and their email schedules, and more. So I'll add my Lunar Tempo admins group to this one. The next permission is for Tempo team admins, who can create teams and manage team permissions, which I'll get to in a minute. I want to hand off these duties to this group that includes managers with employees who report to them, and team leads or project managers who will create teams for their own projects. Finally, the Tempo account administrator permissions. These admins can create, configure, and delete accounts. Here at Lunar Industries, our lunar resource consultants track their billable hours for invoicing. So I'll grant this permission to our group of account managers who know much more about financial stuff than I do. So those are the global permissions to set for Tempo Timesheets. Next up is project permissions. And I'll navigate to permission schemes and explore the default one that we use for most of our Jira projects here at Lunar Industries. These permissions affect Jira projects and issues, which Tempo Timesheets users need to have. I've already granted the basic Browse Projects permission to my group of all Tempo users. And I'll scroll down to the time tracking permissions to see where Tempo Timesheets users need some worklog permissions. First, I'll grant the Edit Own Worklogs permissions to the group of all Tempo users. And they also need the Delete Own Worklogs permission. Earlier on, I had already granted the Work on Issues permission to all Tempo users, so now everyone can log time against issues and have control over their own worklogs. For managers and team leads, they get a bit more power. I already granted the View All Worklogs permission to this group of Lunar team leads and managers. And I'll add this same group to the Edit All Worklogs permission and the Delete All Worklogs permission. Now the team leads and managers can view, edit, and delete worklogs for anyone who has logged time to the Jira projects that use this permission scheme. Finally, I'll take a look at Tempo team permissions, which are set for each Tempo team that gets created. I need to go to Tempo Timesheets and go to the Teams page, and I'll select this team of our lab technicians and open up its team permissions from up here. The team lead, Amy, has all the permissions to manage worklogs for her team, while the members have limited permissions which she has given them. But Amy, or anyone with the Manage Team permissions, can add permission roles for this team, and that lets other people do whatever you want them to do for your team. For example, Amy wants John to be able to view and approve the worklogs for her team, in case communications break down between the Moon and Earth and she can't do these tasks herself. So now everyone here at Lunar Industries can use Tempo Timesheets because they have the correct permissions to do what they need to do. from managing their teams to logging time spent on research or mining the moon rocks. Thanks for watching, and make sure to check out the other videos to learn how to configure and customize Tempo timesheets as you like.